Hello everybody, today I'm going to be showing you guys how I built my Skylander shelves and basically giving you guys like a tutorial if you guys are interested in building your own Skylander shelves that look just like these. So this is just going to be a step-by-step tutorial on how I built my shelves and basically giving you guys the methods and step-by-step how I did it and also a bit of the pricing towards the end of the video as well. And also, in addition to that, I'm going to be showing you guys how I order my figures, so stay tuned for that at the end of the video. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do is find a place where you want your shelves. Obviously, my shelves are already built, so I don't have an empty spot, but I would do it here. And then you want to measure out how long it is. So you take down the measurement of how long it is, and then you're going to write it down on a piece of paper. Also, be sure to always cut an inch or two out, just in case you have limited space. So you always want to make sure less is better, because you don't want your shelf to not fit. Basically, after that, you're going to want to go to the hardware store, and you're going to want to get some lumber. You got to pick out planks of wood about the size that you want the shelf. You're going to need 9 pieces, and we aren't worried about the side pieces for now, but that will be a different stop. Have them cut it to the length that you want your shelves, but remember to subtract the width of 2 of the pieces of wood for the sides of the shelves. Cut all 9 of the pieces identically, because you're going to want, obviously, you're going to want all of your planks to be exactly the same size. Also, real quick, I just wanted to talk about the difference in the wood. So when I did both my shelves, I didn't do them at the same time. I did them at different times. So the first time I did it, I went with just regular wood that was not stained or anything, and I painted it. So you can see there are like rough patches, like you'll see right there. Like obviously, it's not all going to be perfect when you're painting it. There's always going to be little blotches of rough spot, especially because I painted it outside, and the shelf would often fall into the grass, so sometimes I even still end up picking up a bit of grass. So this is what I would recommend if you obviously want to spend a bit less money, because it's less expensive. But if you want a better finish, I would go with the primed wood, because when I did it the second time and the wood was primed, meaning it was already painted white, so that was a much nicer finish. You can see that there are little to no scuffs, and if there are any, it was my doing. So I would go with primed wood, especially because the cost is very minimal. I mean, obviously, you're probably going to end up spending around the same when it comes to paints and stuff, and because you need paintbrushes and stuff. But it's up to you. And if you don't want your shelf to be white, then you're going to need to go the first route anyway. So. Alright, so you have all of your wood in your home. Next thing you want to do is you want to space your shelves. How I did this was I used Ninjini, which is the tallest Skylander, if you guys did not know. And I laid the 9 pieces of wood out on my floor, and I spaced her in between each shelf, basically. After that, I measured what the height of the shelf would be, obviously, like all of these pieces combined. And that was what I was going to use for my side pieces. Alright, so next you're going to want to go to the store again. So this is where you're going to be buying the side pieces for the shelves. And also this time I'd recommend getting 40 to 50 screws. This is just for obviously screwing in the side. You can see that I have 2 screws per shelf, and I'll mention that later. Alright, so next you're actually going to want to build the shelf. So you're going to lay all of your pieces of wood onto the floor like this, basically, so it looks like this, like the finished product, but it's on the floor. You're going to want to grab a power drill if you don't already have one. So if you don't have one, you need to get that, and then you're going to want to get the screws that you bought, and you're going to start drilling the individual shelves into place. You don't necessarily need a power drill, but you need some way to screw the screws in. So if you use a power drill, you're also obviously, and you're going to need a drill bit as well. Basically what I did was, I thought a good rule was to just put 2 screws on each side for each shelf, and that works for me. Obviously you can do 3. I don't think that that's necessary, but 2 works perfect for me. Alright, so now that the skeleton of your shelf is finished, you're going to want to decorate it, because obviously you want your shelf to look nice like this, obviously. And so if you didn't already, now's your time to buy paint and paintbrushes and all that stuff. And then in addition to that, what I went ahead and did is I bought colored foam. So you can see here, you can't obviously feel the texture, but this is just colored foam that they have at Michael's or anywhere where you can get arts and crafts supplies. That's where I'd recommend getting this all. So you go ahead and do that now, and then I'm going to explain to you guys how you are going to want to do the foam, obviously. So for me, the easiest way to do the foam and to not leave a lasting impact on the actual wall that I'm doing it on is I bought poster board, just white poster board, so that if you can see, like, there are little gaps here and there, and you can see like white. Like, here's a good example of a gap, but it's white, and that's for the poster board, so it kind of looks like it's fluid with the shelf. So you're gonna want to decide what way you want your shelf, like which way is the forward side, which way is the back side, and then you're gonna want to get some hot glue, or not hot glue, super glue, excuse me. I mean, you could use either, but I did super glue. You can do super glue and basically glue the poster boards to the back of the shelf. You're gonna need more than one, obviously, because I'm assuming your shelf is around the same size as mine. So you want to glue the poster board to the back of the shelf, and that's just going to make an easier flow towards everything. Now after that, you're going to want to use the colored foam that you got, and you want to basically cut it to the length of each shelf. Obviously my shelves are not 100% even because there's always human error involved, but it's pretty accurate to the size. They're all pretty even, as you can see. And you're going to want to glue the foam to the back of the thing, cut it out to the length of the shelf, obviously. Alright, so now that your shelf is completely finished, hopefully, and it looks like it does on my wall, obviously, assuming that you followed the correct steps and all that stuff, you are going to want to mount the shelf, obviously. So you can see I have mine mounted. I'm looking right now for the wood. Like, there's an example of a piece of wood. You can probably see it even better on my first shelf that I built. So you can see wood right there and wood right there to mount it. So if I were you guys, this is the most important step. So if you do have the money for it, I would probably recommend hiring a handyman to do this step. That's what I did personally, just because I didn't want my shelves to fall, because if I spent all this money on wood and paint and everything that I spent, and it ends up falling and all my Skylanders break, it's gonna suck. But if you do want to do it by yourself, basically you want to get the wood that's required to mount it. You're gonna want to get heavy duty screws, probably enough that can hold 100 pounds, and I would just do, the more screws the better, honestly, because it can't really hurt. So you can see, obviously, there's little screws on basically every shelf, actually. So you're going to want to mount the shelf to your wall. Obviously, you also, if you're doing this by yourself, and not with like the help of like a handyman or something like that, you want to make sure that you hang it on the studs. So that's obviously where mine were. You gotta want to buy a stud finder if you don't already have it. So I guess there's a stud on my wall right here. So that's where I was able to hang it and put the mounting wood there. So like I said, I didn't do this part. This is actually the one part of the shelf that I didn't do by myself, was hanging it. But other than that, if you do try to hang it on your own, just be careful. Obviously there's a lot of risk involved, because I'm assuming most of you guys are not shelf hanging professionals. Alright, so now for a bit of pricing. So all in all, the wood is what's going to cost you the most. Obviously, it's the main part of the shelf that's going to cost you the most. That probably ended up costing me 70 to 80 bucks. Obviously, it depends on where you go. I assume you guys will go different places than I did, so it'll cost different amounts. And all in all, I think on both shelves, I ended up spending around $100 to $120 on them. So obviously it's a bit expensive, but it's, I built big shelves, so, it's not gonna, that price isn't really gonna matter, depending on how big your shelf is, because, they cut the wood and it's the same price for the wood. If it's really small, obviously you could use one piece of wood and cut it 2 ways, but that also just depends on everything. So All in all, my shelves, my first one probably costed a bit less, just a tiny bit less, maybe costing like around $100. And then the second one, because I bought the primed wood, it was around $120. Also, it's worth noting, I didn't mention it, but for the first shelf, I didn't buy primed wood, and I bought the wood that wasn't primed, so I had to paint it myself. So I also bought gloss for it. So if you want to do that, obviously that's an option. It made the finish better than it originally looked, and it makes everything just look nicer. But that's obviously, you can choose whether you want to do that or not. It's not required. So one last thing, because I know I'll get comments about it, the elemental cutouts. I just took pictures of each element off the internet, made them exactly the same size. That's a important thing. Make them the same size, print them out, and then you can see I'll use the life one here. They're basically just attached to pieces of poster board or cardboard. So yeah, and then I just tucked them right back here at the start of the shelf. I don't have them on my second shelf, but you know, if you can see, it kind of goes pretty fluid, so you can obviously tell the elements. I didn't think it was necessary to put it on this one. So yeah, that's the elemental cutouts explained there. Alright, so also as I said, I'm going to be going over the order of my figures. So for SSA, I'm going to do this with the water element because I thought it was the best example. I have first a dragon Skylander. Also, before I do that, the elemental orders. I did mine off the order that they were originally, that the eternal sources were found originally. So obviously the air source, water source, earth source, life source, tech source, undead source, fire source, and magic source. I thought that this fit pretty well. So I like this order. Obviously you don't have to go with this one. You can go with whatever order you like. That's the beauty of the shelf, of making your own shelf. Anyway, on to the actual order of the figures. I have a Dragon Skylander first, which would be Zap, obviously a Bash, Camo, Drobot, all the way down. You have all the Dragon Skylanders. Then after that, I specify Starter Pack characters first, then Adventure Pack characters, and then other characters. So if there's no Starter Pack or Adventure Pack characters, like with the Life Element, I do Dragon first, and then I just go off of, did they get a repose or not? So obviously Camo didn't get a repose, but he is the dragon, so he goes first. But Dino Rang didn't get a repose in Earth, so I did the two characters that got reposes. Obviously Terrafin being an Adventure Pack character, Prison Break just being a reposed character. And I put that in that order, if that makes sense. Next, moving on to Giants, I have a Giant first, and then the core Skylander, and then I just did the same for the reposes. I just did the same exact order that they were in the life. So you can see I did Stealth Elf, Zook, Stump Smash, and Stump Smash. Then I did the light core characters for each. Swap Force, no specific order for the swappers, just swappers go first for me. And then also no specific orders for the cores. For the reposes, I just did, if they got, it's like I said, it's the same order. So Camo goes first out of these two because originally Camo was labeled before Stealth Elf. So you have Camo and Stealth Elf, and then Camo and Stealth Elf. And then after that, Light Cores. Now, moving on to my Trap Team collection. Trap Masters first, no specific order. Cores second, also no specific order. Minis, just off of, like I said, order that they're originally in SSA, or you know, if Giants come first, like or Giants come second, like Tree Rex, it goes Stealth Elf, Tree Rex. Superchargers, I just have the main new characters first, followed up by the supercharged versions, and I put the Bowser or Donkey Kong and Bowser figures in the middle of the two. And then moving on to Imaginators, I just do new characters first. Obviously, if it's like Cortex or Crash Bandicoot, I have them after that. And then I have villains all down a row here. And then Creation Crystals here, I just have one of each element for them. And then Vehicles, I just do, like I said, new character, repose, supercharged character. For my other shelves, which I will talk about in a minute, just going over the order for them first, I just did the order of the adventure packs as like the levels are concerned. So obviously that's the order there. And for these at the end, I kind of got a bit sloppy, but I just put Enchanted Elven Forest and Griffin Park behind each other, as well as the Trap Team adventure packs, because I was mainly just spatial concerns. And then I have all the magic items in front of them there. Light and dark characters, same deal here. Just did them Trap Team, Superchargers, Imaginators, and I wanted them to completely mirror each other because we have like a mirror thing going on with this shelf, which I think is really cool. So I just did Trap Team, Superchargers, Imaginators, and then Chaos we have here in the middle. So that's all of the orders for those shelves. Finally, my last shelf, quote unquote, that I have is the Eons Elites. This is the one collection of mine that I still am building. So I just did, obviously, the elemental cutouts, if you know, for them. They were all, they all kind of connect, so I did in that order. And then for them, I just did the same elements that were in that order. So like Spyro is first. For there, I have his Elite here. It's just not on the shelf right now because I just put these shelves in, actually. So Spyro I have here first. He's the magic element, which means that Voodoo would go first of the new Elites. I have his shelf here too as well, but I just didn't put him in yet. And anyway, that's about everything. Now, just real quickly, the last thing is just talking about my other shelves that I have. For the Eons Elites, these are literally just command hook shelves. That's all that they are. You can find them online. Moving over here, these two were just two repurposed pieces of wood. They're literally just two planks, nothing special about them. I got elemental foam for these, like I did with the regular ones, but I just got that for black and white. Elemental cutouts, same thing here, except for I just put them directly on the thing because I think that they look better that way. And then I hung them using these like brackets here, you can see. It's a bit more rough because they were actually not studs on the walls, so I did make a few mistakes here, but honestly the shelves cover it up. And that's about it. With this, I painted it just half black, half white. You can see there's like a direct line in the middle. I think it's really clean. I was proud of that paint job. And then for these, you can see it's like clouds, because it's Skylanders after all. And because I didn't really know what else to paint this shelf, and I wanted it to have some color, so I did clouds for that. You can see there's clouds up there. It's harder to see because there's the game pieces on it, obviously, but that's about all. Alright, so that's everything. So let me know how this went. If you actually did do this, I'd be surprised if anyone did it, but if you followed my tutorial, let me know how that went. And other than that, just let me know if you have any questions. If you're planning on building it, just let me know any questions in the comment section. I will reply to every comment that I see. I reply to old comments as well, so if you're watching this video a few years in advance and you see that I'm still uploading YouTube videos, and you comment with a question, I might be able to answer it. And basically, yeah, that's how it's gonna go, because I would love to answer your questions if you do have any, because I know that this video might not have hit every topic. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.